still in the book of Nehemiah. We're in chapter 7 right now, and what we see is Nehemiah, as you've been walking through this with me, has been called to help rebuild the city of Jerusalem, to rebuild its walls, and he's really on the cusp of being done. Or is he? Yes, he's rebuilt the walls, but was that really the goal? The real goal wasn't the wall itself. It was the glory of God. It was the glory of his people, the good of his people. But sometimes the means of reaching our goal begins to replace our true purpose. We want to provide for our families, but providing families ends up becoming workaholism. The work becomes primary as opposed to the family it was meant to support. Raising children, see them become healthy adults, sometimes gets replaced by living vicariously through them. Building a church, starting it, becomes building a church building or making a name for ourselves. Now, some people would call this mission creep. It might be better to have a more blunt assessment of it. Idolatry. Good things, means to accomplish a greater purpose, become the end in and of themselves, and they become distractions. Have means ever distracted you from your true goal? Let me read a little bit from Nehemiah chapter 7, beginning in verse 4, and we'll begin to see that Nehemiah has a clear vision of what he's supposed to do. Not simply rebuild the walls, but to bring God's people back. Now, the city was large and spacious, but there were few people in it, and the houses had not yet been rebuilt. So my God, put it in my heart to assemble the nobles, the officials, and the common people for registration by family. And he's doing that. He's calling them to get back involved in the city. Yes, the walls are rebuilt, but it's about the community. And then the chapter ends with this in verse 73: the priests, the Levites, the gatekeepers, the musicians, and the temple servants, along with certain of the people and the rest of the Israelites, settled in their towns, some in Jerusalem, but some in the surrounding areas. It wasn't just about building a building. It was the people. A number of years ago, I had the privilege of visiting the chapel at Princeton University. I grew up not that far from there, but they had just finished a renovation of the chapel, and I went in to look at it. It cost $10 million. It was 18 months of work. They restored 4,000 square feet of stained glass. They restored the organ, 8,000 pipes in that organ. And as I bumped into one of the caretakers of the place, and they were happy to show me around. And I simply asked, so what kind of use does this get? And they said, well, we use it for convocations and baccalaureate. And there's a worship service here that's pretty sparsely attended, maybe 10 people. I recalled the line from the movie Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. And I thought about the Princeton Chapel. Yeah, maybe not so much here. Again, chapter 6, we've seen the completion of the project that Nehemiah has to rebuild the wall. So is he done? But, he sees that he's not. If we look back at the prayer he prayed in chapter 1, we see really what's in his mind. He said this: remember the instruction you gave your servant Moses, saying, if you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the nations. But if you return to me and obey my commands, then even if your exiled people are at the farthest horizon, I will gather them from there and bring them to the place I have chosen as a dwelling for my name. The call was not to a wall or a sanctuary or a rec center or a parking lot. The call is to the glory of God in his gathered people, his witnessing community. The call is to the glory of God and the good of his children in the family of God. And that's what God has called us to. Now, sometimes we get distracted. We want to build a family, so we buy a home and we take care of the lawn. But have we succeeded by just having a great house? We want to build a church, but have we succeeded just by renovating the building? No. It's about the people. And we need to make sure that we have the call clear. We're called to a glorious community. So let's make sure we're building the church and not just a church building. Blessings on you all.